What's up, guys? And UFC 301 Pantoja versus Erceg took place a couple hours ago. I already did my recap video, but now we're going to be talking about the next fights to make for all of the key fighters on the card. I've got the main event winner, the main event loser, the same for the co-main event, and then all the other key winners on this card. I've got 12 fighters, and I'm going to be justifying why I think their next matchup is or should be who I've selected. So yeah, let's get started. Alessandro Pantoja, I believe he should fight Muhammad Mokaev next. Now, he said apparently wants to take some time off, which is fair. He's been pretty active, but I don't know what the deal is, because if Albazi's good to go, then he deserves it more than Mokaev does, but I just don't think Albazi is good to go. So I think you do this fight if they're not going to give Mokaev another fight in the meantime. If so, you could do Mokaev versus someone, and then the winner of that gets a title shot. But just for the sake of, I don't think Albazi's ready, and until I know that he is, I'm going to just go with whoever the highest ranked guy is coming off a win. So that is Muhammad Mokaev if you're not including Albazi. And so yeah, just make that fight happen. Do it later in the year sometime. Maybe on the July card, you could do that. Actually, that's kind of rough for Pantoja. That's a 3-month turnaround. So yeah, maybe you end up doing it like on the December card later in the year, maybe in September or something like that. I don't know. October maybe. In Abu Dhabi, they could do that. They might end up doing that. But yeah, do this somewhere later in the year. Make it happen. I think Pantoja would win comfortably. I think Erceg was his worst matchup in the division. I think that's his hardest fight. And despite what you may think of the decision, he still walks away with his belt. So I don't think anyone else apart from Erceg really poses that much of a threat to him, in my opinion. So yeah, I think he's got a pretty chill path ahead as long as he just doesn't fall off a cliff. And yeah, I think he would smoke Mokaev because Mokaev doesn't damage people on the feet. But let's move on to the next fight. Erceg had a really good performance, arguably won in a lot of people's eyes. I'm not here to say that he clearly won or clearly lost that fight. I think it was razor close. But I believe he should fight Kaikara France next. Now, look, he's the number 10 ranked guy and he's coming off a loss. But you can't just look at that and say, oh, cool, fight down. No, I think he should be fighting a top 5 guy next. I think he clearly proved his championship caliber. He clearly proved he's maybe not better, but at least better in terms of a stylistic matchup against Pantoja than both Moreno and Royval and pretty much anyone else that the most recent person to actually have that much success against Pantoja probably is Figgy, because even Askarov, that was more grappling based. But yeah, Figgy's the last guy to actually really outstrike him on the feet. And so yeah, I think Kaikara France is the perfect fight for Steve Erceg. I think if he wins that, he could arguably be looking at another title shot. And that's simply because of how close this fight was. Typically, if Pantoja had lost this, if they'd given Steve Erceg the decision, I think they would have done an immediate rematch just because of how close it is. But simply because Erceg is technically number 10, or at least was when this fight happened, and he is coming off a loss, I don't think they're going to run it back. I wouldn't even hate it if they did, but I feel like they're going to go their separate ways for now, and we might see this down the line. But yeah, Erceg versus Kaikara fans, do it in Perth. This would be a sick fight, Australia versus New Zealand, on the main card of that pay-per-view, and it would be amazing, because I do think they were setting up Erceg to fight on that Perth card if he won, but you can still put him on there, you can still give him a big matchup, and Kaikara fans would be the perfect one to do it. But yeah, Jose Aldo got a big win in his return fight. He beat Jonathan Martinez 30-27, schooled him, and there's a lot of options for Aldo, and I might even make a video just talking about Jose Aldo and what's next for him and like really breaking down what he could do. But I'm going to go with Henry Cejudo. I don't love this call. I kind of was thinking about changing it halfway through, but then I was like, I can't be bothered going back and re-editing all of the different stuff. So I'm going to go with Cejudo. There's so many options though. Like, you can go Figgy, you could go Cheeto in a rematch, you could go Sanhagen, you could go Cruz. There's a lot of options for Jose Aldo. I went with Cejudo though, because Cejudo is coming off a loss. I don't know where they're going to rank Aldo. I hope they rank him above Cheeto, because that's what they should do. But if they don't, it's hard to give him like a top 5. I mean, it's not hard. You could just do it. But they also could have given him a title shot. That's another thing some people are talking about. But I think he needs one win. I think any guy in the top 10, honestly, with a name, I think if he beats them, he gets a title shot. They could just give him one now. I wouldn't hate that, but I do think they will end up making him fight again, because apparently O'Malley vs. Merab's announced for the Sphere. I don't know how confirmed that is, but apparently that's what's happening. So Cejudo, former champion, wrestler, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, why are you giving Jose Aldo a wrestler? I mean, he stuffs takedowns better than anyone. Merab couldn't take this guy down at altitude when Jose is normally the guy that gasses out and Merab's normally the guy that puts the pace on late. And he still couldn't take him down. So I think Cejudo looked pretty shit against Merab, to be honest, outside the first round. I don't think Cejudo would have any moments on the feet with Aldo. He's just not as quick as him, not as dynamic. So I think Aldo would stuff his takedowns, tune him up on the feet, and I kind of just want to see Cejudo get beaten up again and lose and retire, because he's still yapping a bit and it's pissing me off. So just let's get Aldo to smoke this guy, former champion matchup, and then, yeah, we can move on and he can probably get a title shot if he wins this. But any matchups, I don't mind. If you guys want to give him a striking fight like a Figgy or a Sandhagen, I don't mind that either. But I think a 3-rounder on a pay-per-view against Cejudo would be pretty cool. But let's move on to the next fighter. Jonathan Martinez took a tough loss. I'm going to give him Damon Blackshear. This is kind of just a random fight. He's probably going to still be holding on to a top 15 ranking, maybe. I think they might just chuck him down to number 15. Damon Blackshear, even though he's a guy coming off a loss, and he has lost recently, I think I'm pretty high on him as a fighter. I think he beat Mario Batista. I think that's a fight that, personally, I scored for him. Again, not a robbery, because close fights aren't robberies. I'm just saying that to piss people off. But, yeah, I think he beat Batista, and Batista's a guy who just looked really good against Ricky Simone, so I wouldn't mind seeing this fight. Even if Martinez still is ranked, I think with some guys towards the back end of the rankings, it's not like, this prestigious ranking spot, you have to be on a win streak to get a ranking. Sometimes you can just make a fight. Blackshear's a really good striker, good grappler too. And yeah, I think this would just be a cool fight. Somewhat of a rebound for Martinez if he wins. It's not a crazy step back. You're not throwing him against any big names or rewarding him because he did take a tough loss. But yeah, I've put Blackshear as the fight. I really don't care how you go with this. Maybe Montel Jackson or something if he beats Said Nurmagomedov. There's a couple bantamweight fights going down soon, so maybe you could do the winner of one of those. But Martinez is in a tough spot. I'm just doing this matchmaking-wise because he is the co-main event fighter, and so I usually do main and co-main, winner and loser, and I just couldn't think of someone else to do better for this card, because no one else that I've left out got a finish, so I've done everyone that got a finish, so yeah, whatever. Let's move on though. Anthony Smith, on paper, he got the win. He did actually get the win. It happened. He got a guillotine, and, there's only one way to find out how good Anthony Smith on paper is, because you have to make him fight himself. That's how we see it. You have to make him fight the real on-paper version of himself. Bogdan Gushkov is obviously who I'm talking about. I'm just going to keep making this the next fight for the two of them, win or lose, until it happens. I don't even give a fuck if Bogdan's the number one contender or some shit and he deserves a title shot. I'll be fuck it. Anthony Smith. I don't care. Anthony Smith retired. I don't know. Get that motherfucker out of retirement and make him fight Bogdan. This is just a fight to make. It's funny. Just for the memes. Just do it. It'll be jokes. And the MMA meme community would have a field day. But let's move on to the next fight. Michel Pereira got a massive win in 54 seconds. Just ran through Ihor Potieria. Dropped him, backflipped onto him, guillotined him, put him out, everything. Did the whole lot. And I think he should fight Roman Dolidze next. Roman recently had a fight with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez fall away, or go away, I should say. And I think Michel Pereira, I think him and Caio Borralho were both competing for who could kind of get that spot. Even if they don't keep that fight on the card, I think Pereira's a guy you could put on International Fight Week and give a big spotlight, even on the main card, because they don't seem like they're stacking it too much. So even Pereira versus Roman Dolidze on the main card of that wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't even hate that, to be honest. If they don't keep it on 302 where Hernandez initially was meant to fight. But yeah, him and Borralho, in my opinion, one of them was going to get that fight, and it was basically about who took slightly less damage and it's clearly Pereira. He fought for 54 seconds. He took no damage. So yeah, I think this is the fight to make. I do not like Roman Dolidze. He's just never been someone that I've enjoyed watching. He's annoying to me. I don't know. Something just pisses me off. He's done nothing wrong. He just annoys me. So yeah, I would love to see Michel Pereira just brutally chin him in the first round, because this guy almost got finished by a Mavov in round one. So yeah, let's just see Pereira destroy him and he can get a ranking, because somehow Dolidze is still the number 10 ranked middleweight. But yeah, Michel Pereira would take that spot from him easily. But let's move on to another fighter. Caio Borralho got a big win against Paul Craig. He knocked him out in round 2. And I think he should fight Jack Hermansson next. Now, Hermansson is coming off a win over Joe Saltyman Pyfer, but I don't think that's quite enough to really get yourself a jump up the rankings. Initially, I thought he might get a fight with a Mavov, but now Mavov's booked to fight Cannonier. And Borralho called out Cannonier, but he probably should have known that fight was pretty much booked. So yeah, Whatever, I think that's the fight to make though. Borrelio versus Jack Hermansson. This is going to end up being like an Apex Fight Night main event. Maybe Hermansson can be the fraud checker once again or turn Borrelio back, but I do think Kaio would win that. But yeah, it's a solid fight. Not a massive jump up because I still don't want to... Kaio's not showing the same shit as Michel Pereira, just running through guys in a minute. Like, this guy took Abbas to a decision. This guy has taken guys to the second round, third round. Like, he's looking really good. But I think he's a guy that you can slow a little bit more than Predator, who I think would just smoke a lot of guys in the top 15. But yeah, this is a good fight. Make it happen. Apex main event, I wouldn't hate it. Let's move on though. Anderson Brito, it's just Dan Ige. Make it happen. He's called him out religiously for like the past like 3 times that he's fought him. Dan Ige, motherfucker. Like, he just keeps calling him out. Make it happen. It's just funny. I don't know why. It's just amusing. Like, there's really no like crazy meaning to this fight. He just keeps calling him out aggressively and swearing at him. It's very great. It's amazing. But yeah, he got the win over Jack Shaw, in case you didn't watch my recap or the card for some reason. Yeah, he beat Jack Shaw via apparently shooting him in the leg based off what that leg looked like. And yeah, he deserves a ranked guy. He's on a massive win streak. He's finishing guys. Whether you agree with the stoppage or not, who cares? He was beating Jack Shaw. He's on a win streak. And yeah, make it happen. Give him a ranked guy. I wouldn't mind like Sadiq Yusuf, but Dan Ige, he's calling for it. It would be a travesty if they didn't make that happen. But let's move on to another fighter. Yasmin Lucindo got a big win against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I'll say just do Amanda Ribas. I don't really care. Make that fight happen. She looks actually pretty good, and she's young too, so you don't need to give her a big jump up, but yeah, Ribas is a good opponent for her. Let's move on though. Majtebek Orolbay, the caveman himself, got a solid win against Elvis Brenner. Bit of a sloppy fight late, but in the first round, you can see when this guy's not completely gassed, he is a problem, and he is a very difficult fighter to deal with. I think Thiago Moises is the guy you do him next. He's booked to fight Ludovic Klein. I think win or lose, I really don't care. He's still just a guy right outside that top 15. Thiago Moises is a guy like, you know, he loses to Arman. Did he lose to Arman? Whatever. He loses to like Islam. He loses to BSD. Like, he loses to guys that go on to be ranked, and he beats the guys that aren't ranked quality. So yeah, Moises is the guy. I think that's a good opponent. Test the grappling a little bit more. Give him another guy who's difficult to deal with on the ground. I think he would beat Moises, but yeah. Or you could do Ludovic Klein. But if Klein wins, I actually think he deserves a ranked opponent, arguably. But yeah, if Moises wins or loses, he's not a guy that deserves a ranked guy with a win. Like, he's kind of just there. He's been there, done that. He's had his losses. And yeah, if he loses, whatever. Just make this fight happen. It'll be a good test. But let's move on to another fighter. Isio Hufi got a big win against Jamie Malaki. Tuned him up badly. And finished him in the first, looking very Conor McGregor-esque out there. Not saying he's fucking Conor McGregor, but the style is there, and his counter-striking, his like fluidity, how composed he looks for a guy who's only 11-1 now. I think 9-1. I think he was 9-1 going in. Maybe he's 10-1 now, or 11-1. Whatever. Really composed for a guy who doesn't have heaps of experience in the sport, hitting scissor sweeps, hitting step back counters, doing all this shit, flying knees. He looks great, and I'm actually going to give him a big step up because he's not a young guy. Even though he's inexperienced in terms of just professional record wise. He looks really good out there, and he's also 30. So I'm saying Joel Alvarez. You guys might disagree with that call. You might say way too soon, but I don't rate Alvarez that highly. Like, he wasn't looking that good against Mark Jacasey. Like, he gets beaten up by a lot of guys. I wouldn't mind it. I think it's a good test. You could do this on the Sphere card, maybe. I know neither of them are Mexican, but it's a Spanish speaker versus a Portuguese speaking Brazilian. Yeah, make this fight happen. I think it'd be sick. Really good striking match. And Alvarez does mix in the grappling a little bit. He does have some good submission attempts, a submission potential. So yeah, I think this would be a good test all round. So yeah, make this fight happen. And I think he was like the MVP of the card outside the main card, to be honest, because he really fucking impressed me. Like, I picked him to win dominantly, and I was like, he's going to KO Malaki because he's shit. But it's not just about KOing Malaki. It's about how fucking flawless this guy looked. The top tier glaze for Mauricio Hufi is coming out right now, I'll be honest. But let's move on. Sandro Costa got a big win against Kevin Borjas. Finished him in the second round with ground and pound. Looked really solid. And although this guy is only 2-2 in the UFC, so like, 500 level fighter, his wins are not that great. Like Jimmy Flick and Josh Van beat Borjas, Kevin Borjas. And his losses are though to Amir Albazi and now Steve Erceg, who according to a lot of people, should arguably the flyweight champion right now. So his losses are to two top 5 guys. So yeah, I think you can give him a ranked guy. Lower end, of course, David Dvorak is who I've gone with. I think it'd be a good test out and see, because he's lost to two top 5 guys. Let's see how he goes against just a run-of-the-mill top 15 guy and a guy that Erceg dealt with in his debut. So yeah, let's see how Costa goes there. But that is every fight to make. Oh, not every fight to make. I left out some guys. But yeah, let me know which fighters you think, or who you think some of these fighters should fight next. Do you agree with my calls? What other fighters that I didn't put in do you think, or what fights do you want to match make for them? And yeah, see you guys in the next one. We'll probably have some more videos coming soon. And yeah, peace out. Don't take this stuff too seriously. Don't be fucking running around every comment section saying it's a robbery. Don't be getting too mad. It's a sport. Just chillax. Peace out.